There you are. I thought you might have forgotten about me. Get back. Nice shot. Uh-oh. Here we go again. Get back!
Hey, over here!
What are you still doing here? Everyone should clear out of the city.
The Combine's not making it easy. We're trying to get enough people together to force our way through to the train station. People are meeting up in a safe house nearby.
Can you take us there?
You bet. Let's go. This way.
I don't think this war is ever gonna end.
Hey, it's me. Open the door.
What's the password?
I'm not even gonna tell you to shut up.
Come on in.
Previously, certain protein chains important to the process of embryonic
You're
development
Kleiner's
were
daughter, right?
No. My dad's Odessa Kubbage. You're right. We don't have time to watch TV. Let's find another way up.
This space was designed to lure players onto a section of breakable floor that drops them into a room full of zombies. Players are enticed into the trap by some reward items and a chance to peek in the hole. We like to surprise players, but we never want them to feel like they've been treated unfairly.
Yes. Great shot!
Gordon? Alex? I don't believe it. How the hell did you get out of the Citadel?
We're not exactly sure. All I know is the Vortigaunts had
Barney,
something to
like
do
Dr.
with it.
Kleiner, is one of the characters
you,
with the
Barney?
deepest roots in
I'm
Half-Life
doing
1.
okay, just going
His
crazy.
personality
Hey,
is more
Fergus!
iconic and retains more of the comic stylization of the first game.
Aw,
This type
hell,
of character
Gordon,
allows us
were
to
you
mix up the
followed
mood a
again?
little bit,
We
to inject
stole
some
some
absurd
information from the
humor into
Citadel
the
on our
otherwise
way out.
grim scenarios of the
I don't
Half-Life
know what it
universe.
is yet,
While
but
characters
it's
such as
important
Alex
enough
and
that
Eli
they've been
Vance
hounding us
have
the
allowed
whole
us
way
to
here.
explore more realistic
puts some
dramatic
pressure on, but we
possibilities,
gotta get moving.
we're still very much
You
attached
guys
to our
know about
roots
the
in satire
evacuation
and black
trains,
humor.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've been planning to make a push on
Barney's
the train
big
station.
crowbar scene
Now
here
it looks
required
like
a
we're
few
gonna have
tricks
cut
to
a
pull
path
off.
through every chicken
There are
shit
actually
Metro
3
cop who's
separate
having
crowbar
second
models
thoughts
in
about
this
defending
sequence.
City 17.
First, there's the
If
one
Gordon
stuck
and
in
I
the
took a
machine.
separate route, we could
When
draw
Barney
the
grabs
Combine
that
away
one,
from you.
we remove
That'd
it
give
from
you
the
a chance
world
to
and
get the
switch
trains
on a
filled up
second
before we
crowbar
get
that's
there.
been in Barney's
Really?
hand the entire
Well, if
time,
you say
only
so.
invisible.
Now,
Both
here,
of these
look over
models
here.
are purely decorative, so as soon as Barney makes his tossing motion,
Across this
we
bridge,
hide the
over
second
the
crowbar
rooftops is
and
a
create
safe
a
path
third
to the
usable
station.
crowbar that then bounces to the
You
ground.
head that way. I'll hit the streets and round up everyone who's been waiting. We'll meet you there.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Hey, Gordon, before you go, I was getting tired of carrying this around. Listen, I don't have many more of these, so try not to lose this one, okay?
All I used to want to do is
Go on across, Gordon. She's waiting for you. You lucky dog, you. See you at the station.
Hey, you with me? It's a
Blood toxin levels detected. Informatic systems engaged. Morphine administered.
Hey, a hospital. Keep an eye
Whenever
out for
possible,
weapons.
we like to foreshadow impending boss battles by introducing the enemy before the actual fight. In this case, you know you're going to be seeing that gunship again pretty soon.
Nice shot.
Instead of letting the gunship AI have its own way here, you force the ship to crash right into the attic. It's a dramatic payoff for winning the battle, and it gives players an opportunity to examine a gunship up close at their leisure.
We designed this gunship battle to create a dynamic, evolving experience, while still keeping the player within a constrained area. Initially, the space appears straightforward and provides plenty of cover. As the environment gets progressively more damaged, combat becomes more challenging. Players are increasingly open to enemy fire, and the path to the rocket train becomes more difficult to navigate. As the roof breaks apart, however, the gunship also becomes more visible, and therefore easier to hit, keeping things relatively in balance. The lighting in this area was tuned to play off of the HDR tone mapping effects, between the dark inner spaces and the progressively open, bright sky above.
Jesus, Gordon, you're a real terror. Think it's dead? Maybe you should whack it with a crowbar just in case. You ready? Oh, God, not again. So much for medical supplies. I found a shotgun.
The hospital was a completely new interior space that we had to design pretty much from scratch. Like most of City 17's visuals, it was inspired by Eastern European architecture. The surgery lamps and the overall white and yellow color scheme were drawn from photos of a hospital in Chernobyl. The tile work and the high archways were chosen to give the area the institutional feel of an old European hospital. And the beds were based on some World War II images. In fact, we avoided modern-looking fixtures and furniture altogether in order to differentiate the place from a contemporary hospital.
We designed this area to be an entertaining showcase for NPC combat. Because of our dynamic AI, these kinds of battles never really play out the same way twice. Players often have to sit back, watch the show, and then dive into the fray at their own discretion. We also felt it was time to introduce a new combat ability for Alex, so we gave her a shotgun here. Not only are shotguns terrific for zombie hunting, their size and ponderous handling characteristics make for some great combat animations.
The door-banging zombies were supposed to give players a safe glimpse of the threat they'd have to face later in the level. In the original design, players couldn't open the door. The zombies would burst through on their own after the player had done a little exploring. We abandoned that plan when many playtesters exhibited a pretty much single-minded fascination with opening the door as soon as they saw it. We made the door openable, though if players ignore it, the zombies will eventually break it down themselves.
To make the set of empty corridors look like a hospital, we chose some iconic hospital props that could be used multiple times throughout the level. Then we built the models with details, multiple skins, and vertical and horizontal elements that would be visually interesting in the space.
Too much of the same type of uninterrupted gameplay causes fatigue. Through repeated playtests, we learned that by the time players reached this part of the hospital, they were ready for a break from the intense combat. In response to that feedback, we inserted this relatively calm exploration puzzle as a change of pace. It gives players a respite from combat while still presenting them with an interesting challenge.
Yeah. Sorry about leaving you alone down there, Gordon. I got a bit swamped. I see you did all right without me. Here they come. Zip through the door.
This turret scenario was designed to showcase Alex's ability to provide cover for players in combat. She always hangs back a little, blasting anything that moves. In the original version, players could knock over lightly protected turrets with a single rocket, fired from the safe end of the corridor. We thought it'd be a nice way for players to feel like they'd pulled one over on the Combine. Unfortunately, playtesters routinely thought that they'd discovered a bug, or, at best, an exploit that had arisen from sloppy design. So in this case, a situation we deliberately created to make the players feel clever actually caused them to think we weren't doing our job very well. As a result of this feedback, we added a force field and additional grating to better protect the turrets.
What you're seeing here is a visual representation of a node graph, a set of nodes and all the connections between them. The node graph is used by NPCs to figure out how to move around the world. It's not really a specific set of instructions, but rather a sort of information repository. Among other things, NPCs use the node graph to dynamically chart paths to distant areas, find cover, or scout out firing positions with a clear line of sight to their enemy.
At any rate,
Yes, the train station.
first, as a matter of great urgency.
Oh boy. They're onto us.
Vital signs.
Better find Barney and train station.
First, as a matter of great urgency, if you find yourself still within the confines of City 17, you are well
You're not looking so
advised
well.
to leave the city at once by the fastest means available
Hey,
to
you with me?
We have restored service to much of the commuter transport system in order to carry citizens.
Oh boy. They're onto us. Better find Barney and get moving.
We wanted players to realize that they've been spotted and the Combine are now aware of their arrival at the train station. It sounds like a simple task, but it actually took a lot of thought to draw the players' attention to the various events that communicate this message. First, a train horn sounds, which gives Alex an opportunity to mention that the station is in sight. Next, the lights go off to grab the players' attention and to make the monitors stand out in the dark. At this point, the player should be looking at one of the monitors, so finally, the Kleiner transmission is interrupted briefly by a Combine advisor. Originally, the advisor appeared on a Jumbotron outside, but we were never able to reliably make playtesters look at it. The flashing Combine camera should also provide some indication that trouble is brewing. Though it's not a proper gate, the zombie draped over the exit is designed to slow the player down just long enough for Alex to finish her lines.
Originally, Barney started off in this map in the doorway down by the citizens, but playtesters tended to wander around for a while before stumbling across him.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
We moved him up here to guarantee that his scene with Alex would unfold before players began any exploration. He's standing over a dead Metro cop, plausible looking long-term activity, in case players don't move directly down to him. Nearby reward items also
Sounds
tend to
good.
draw players
Send
toward
out
him.
the first group.
Here we go.
Here we wanted to include something a little different, an escort mission. Most of our gameplay involves constant forward motion, so we wanted to design a situation where players would fight through the same basic area multiple times. This temporary backtracking would create a series of encounters where players had a full tactical awareness of their surroundings. Once again, all of this turned out to be more easily said than done, and this sequence went through a lot of iterations. Originally, the train yard was one big space. This approach had a couple of problems. Since players had a constant unbroken view of the entire area, it was virtually impossible to maneuver enemies into position for stage combat events, and because they could always see the goal, players didn't get much of a sense that they were leading citizens somewhere the citizens couldn't get to on their own. Ultimately, we broke the environment into two different spaces, a parking lot and a maintenance building. Because neither area can be seen from the other, we're able to repopulate the spaces with new, more deadly combinations of enemies while the player isn't looking. It also makes the journey feel lengthier and more significant.
To think, all I used to want to do was sell insurance.
We wrestled with the problem of plausibly repopulating this area with soldiers between each trip. After several iterations, we decided to have the soldiers jump in through some high windows. This solution has several advantages beyond maintaining incredible fiction. It makes the incoming enemies more immediately visible, and, since the windows are unreachable from the ground, players aren't able to exit through them. Plus, leaping soldiers turn into tumbling ragdolls when shot, which is always entertaining.
Doing good. Well, that wasn't so hard. We should have brought everyone over at once. Go back and get another group. I'll stay here and guard the gate.
Keep them safe.
Freeman, get back out there and help. Get back up. I'm sure you want to help everyone else get to safety first.
Okay, they're safe. Go for another group.
Fantastic ass kicking, Doc.
We'd never make it. Bring another group of citizens, Gordon.
Blood loss detected.
Now that's the Gordon Freeman I know.
Ammunition depleted.
That's how you do it, huh, Freeman?
Hurry up, people. We made it, thanks to you. We're ready for another group of citizens. We've got you covered. Keep your heads down.
That was a close one.
Mm-hmm.
We made it!
Get this thing moving!
Move them out!
That should keep them off our backs for a while.
You guys coming?
Go on, Barney, they're not after you. Gordon and I will draw their attention while you get the others away from here. We can grab another train once you're clear.
Okay then. Don't take too long about it, yeah?
Here, let's open up this next track.
Excuse me.
I made it. We made it now.
We needed a train station, but we didn't want something that was too similar to the one in Half-Life 2. We decided to give this station a more industrial look, to make it a place where trains were repaired and freight was offloaded. We included some Combine elements to help explain why the Strider can't fire through the various strategic barricades required by the game design.
We separate Alex from the player here to make the Strider battle a more intimate combat experience. While we generally want Alex to be useful to the player, bosses tend to require a specific combat style to beat, and we found that it usually doesn't make gameplay sense to keep her around. Plus, boss battles are the player's big hero moments, and having too much health leaves a sense of individual accomplishment. Alex more or less sits out all of our battles.
For this climactic battle, we created a new AI that makes the Strider a more interesting opponent. It has a snappier cannon attack, can better track the player.
This shipping container used to be accessible only after the player destroyed.
For this climactic battle, we created a new AI that makes the Strider a more interesting opponent. It has a snappier cannon attack, can better track the player's movements, and it now has the ability to target the environment in dangerous ways. For instance, its cannon fire can shove heavy shipping containers straight into the player.
This shipping container used to be accessible only after the player destroyed a padlock. Given the amount of stress during this part of the game, even a simple puzzle, in this case, destroying the lock, would be completely missed by the player. In the end, we felt like the arena we had built for the player to fight the Strider was fun enough without this added element, so we removed it.
We often use goodies, such as this crate and the scanner battery around the corner, to guide players along a preset route. We want players to hit their marks during the battle without drawing attention to the fact that they're being subtly manipulated on a particular point.
We wanted to keep the tension high in this fight, but we also realized the players would need some cover. These destructible panels satisfy both those design goals. Effectively, they're time shelters. Players can hide behind the panels, but the Strider will target them until they're destroyed. This gives the players brief periods of safety, during which they can plan the next move.
noticed during playtesting that players were often too afraid of the Strider's weapons to stand in front of it and fire rockets. This was kind of a problem because rockets are virtually the only way to kill a Strider. To help players, we modified the Strider's AI so that a player-launched rocket will significantly delay the Strider's attack. This battle of reflexes lets players guide their missiles in safety, as long as they get their shot off before the Strider does.
Fantastic job, Gordon.
Along with Vistas, positive feedback from Alex is one of our primary means of rewarding players. In this case, Alex's excitement over the Strider's destruction adds a sense of closure to the battle, and gives players the satisfaction that someone witnessed and appreciated their heroics.
The train the player rides out of City 17 had two major design goals. It had to visually connect the end of Episode 1 to the beginning of Episode 2, and it also needed to address functional gameplay requirements of the second episode. Using reference material we collected on European train cars in the 1980s, we built a basic version of the train that level designers would test. Once we got the thumbs up from them, we added textures and lots of little details. The result is basically a caboose combined with rounder, more streamlined elements from a passenger car.
Apart from being a big visual payoff to the episode, there were several story requirements that this ending sequence needed to convey. It had to make it very clear that the Citadel was destroyed, that the Citadel pods had escaped, and it needed to imply that the data transmission beam was streaming out of the ruins. We discovered that Alex had to be mostly silent during this scene, or else players tended to look at her instead of all the chaos around them.
Oh my god, the transmission's going out.